Hi everybody, it's Trudy here, One Grounded Angel. This is my weekly angel card reading video for the week starting January the 13th, 2020 and finishing on the 19th of January, I should say. So I started recording this video and I was interrupted. So I'm going to run through the cards I had already explained in that video. Sorry, you won't see me shuffling them, and then I'll pick up where I left off. So if you're wondering why I'm not shuffling for Monday, it's because I already did. Here's Monday, Poised. It's about us getting ourselves match fit. And this is about knowing that we're good enough. We are good enough. We are good enough. We really are. We might not be perfect, thank goodness, that would be boring. And we might not be doing as well as this other person on social media, but we are good enough and we are strong enough to deal with whatever is dealt to us, always, always, even though it's not easy and it's not much fun. So getting your mindset in the right position is really what this card is about. And so that means remembering that when things are challenging, reminding yourself that you can deal with it, and really calling on the resources you have available to help you deal with that. And I would also say, as well as mindset, it's about looking after yourself and making good choices, because depending on how well you can see this, she is balancing. And I know the perfect work-life balance that we talk about is probably BS, and I don't know that it's a worthy goal because it's so super hard to achieve. So this is not about a perfect balance, but it is about looking at where you might be out of balance as well. Perhaps the reason you're not feeling ready for the challenges that are being thrown at you is because you have neglected your rest. You're not getting enough sleep. That's going to take a toll on your energy. That's going to make you feel like you haven't got the resources to deal with what's coming up for you right now. So maybe you need to look at where you're out of balance as well. So Tuesday's card, I feel like I'm repeating myself, but I'm not, because you haven't seen this already. Tuesday, this is a divine goddess called Pali, I think it's how you pronounce it. Divine passion is the message here. So if you're into astrology, you might like to think of this as a Mars type energy. It's all about passion and the way that cannot be suppressed. If you are facing a decision at the moment, you really need to look at, what does my heart want? Because sometimes we can get so bamboozled by the different options and what will this person think and how will this look and what have other people done and what is the most obvious or logical conclusion I can expect, and that just doesn't help you, because it takes you further and further away from what you want. That is this card's central message. What do you want? Honor that. If you try to bury it, it will come up at you, because we know that when we go along with things that we know we're not happy with, I'll just go along with this job I don't really like that pays really well. That's fine. I can be fine with that. No one's really happy in their job anyway. It's fine. I've got enough money, so I won't have any worries. That is a trap, my friend. I know, I've done it. You probably have too. We cannot fool ourselves into being happy with something we are not happy with. It just doesn't work. And so that might be one example of how this card speaks to you. Another one might be in relationships. This card can speak to intimacy and passion, perhaps in a sexual sense, but in any sort of intimate kind of or emotional capacity. And so maybe the message is, if you are pretending to be okay with something in a relationship sense that you're not okay with, perhaps you are turning a blind eye to your partner's behavior that is not acceptable, and thinking it's fine, it doesn't matter, lots of people have problems, all relationships are hard, all these sort of things that we tell ourselves to be okay with things that we know are really not. That might be what this card is saying to you. If you try to suppress these emotions that you're feeling, it's not going to go well, because they will come up. Equally, if you're trying to bury a secret or a truth, it will come up. We know it always does. So what is the truth of this matter? What do you really want? How do you really feel? All those sorts of things, and facing up to those. Wednesday, enthusiasm. I love the optimism of this card, and it's about, very simple message, being happy with how things are. I know you are not where you want to be. I know there are lots more things you want to do in your life. This card is not asking you to pretend that those things do not exist. It's just asking you to take a moment to really appreciate what you've got right now, and it's probably pretty good, even though it's a long way from perfect. You might like to do some gratitude, there's a lot of research backing how powerful this is. So being grateful for what's good in your life. And we know from an energetic perspective that what we focus on is what expands. So being grateful for what we already have starts to bring in more blessings, more things to be grateful for. So really celebrating your wins. People talk about this a lot, celebrating what they've achieved, particularly in business. But I don't know that many of us do. I don't always do it so well either. But it's really important because the things that you've got now, you once wanted. So if you don't take time now to celebrate them, you're going to end up feeling like you haven't really got anywhere, or you're not really getting to where you want to go. So where am I going? Yeah, it's a very simple message about being joyful for how things are in your life and celebrating them, and bringing back the joy. Thursday. Generosity. We had this card on December 25th, and I pointed out to you then that this saint is the Saint Nicholas behind the Santa Claus myth or legend, however you want to phrase it. So, I mean, that's a very extreme example of generosity. You don't necessarily have to go around giving a bunch of material possessions to people you don't know, but you might like to look at how you could be a little more generous today. That could be in spirit or in your thoughts. Maybe you could extend a little compassion to other people, and instead of flying off the handle at them, trying to recognize how they might be feeling and where they might be coming from. Maybe you could be a bit more charitable about the way other people behave. I'm not saying allowing bad behavior. I'm just saying if people are demonstrating judgment or prejudice, maybe you could step back and recognize that maybe they've got a lot of reasons to be afraid in their lives, and judging other people is the only way they feel that they can feel good about themselves. I'm not saying that it is a good way to feel good about yourselves, but let's face it, we all do it. So being generous in that regard, I mean, it could literally be being generous with your time, getting to volunteering, supporting charities. It's entirely up to you how you interpret this, but I just want to make it clear that if you are financially strapped, this card is not telling you to go and donate all your money to charity, even though supporting charities is usually, depending on the type of charity, is usually a pretty worthy thing to do. I'm just saying you don't have to interpret it as being about materialism or cash. So go here for Saturday. Oh no, Friday. So as you'll see, I'm now shuffling. It was only Monday, Tuesday and Wednesday's cards that I had shuffled in that before I got interrupted. So now I'm back in shuffle mode. Friday, cut your cords. When we form intimate relationships with people, an energetic cord forms between us, and that does not automatically sever when the relationship ends, particularly when the relationship didn't end well. There was some shock involved. It was not wanted. The split wasn't wanted by both people. And I'm not just talking about romantic relationships. This could be a friendship as well. I certainly have struggled with this, where a friendship was withdrawn and I had no say in it. So the best thing to do is obviously go through your healing, coming to terms with that, which takes time. But cutting your cords is really important, because you can't move on and be open to new relationships if you're still sending energy back into the past, energetically, in terms of maybe it's emotions about resentment or regret. Anything like that is all part of keeping that cord open. But it may just be open because you know, it's just the way. Sorry, I'm not explaining this very well. Sometimes, even though we've done the healing work, the cord may still be there because it is part of a larger pattern. It's also something you need to think about. If you're resentful at an ex, it may be because you're sick of this whole pattern of where you've been hurt by people. So you might like to look at energy healing work for that. I have done cord cutting with people before where the cord just doesn't cut, and that's because there's some deeper stuff people need to work through on that. That's at the more extreme end of the scale. This may be for you more about attachments that you have in your life to not necessarily people, but habits or choices that you're making. Perhaps you are attached to, I don't know, junk food as a means of cheering yourself up. Perhaps you are attached to alcohol as a means to escape the emotions that you don't want to deal with. maybe in this card. These are just examples. I'm not passing judgment here. I'm just saying, I'm trying to think of ways that we can. The card literally says freeing you from destructive patterns, and those are some examples of patterns that may not be immediately detrimental, but the means or the cause of why you are choosing those patterns is speaks to a larger pattern of you, of unhealth. I would say they're unhealthy choices, not necessarily because of what you're doing, but the reasons that you're choosing them, and an opportunity for healing as well. There could be lots of things that applies to something you need to cut off or release, in terms of, could be a habit, something you're holding on to, an idea you had about yourself. Let's go to Saturday. This is a really mixed bag. I'm not seeing any real themes emerging so far. That's not a bad thing though. Saturday, Grace and Antoinette, two angels. This is interesting. To help heal the situation, see the other person's point of view with compassion. So that could be connected to that generosity I just mentioned. This is really just encouraging us to have empathy. And every time I talk about empathy, I feel the need to emphasize that it is not about condoning bad behavior. You must never let the fact that you can understand why someone is doing something, let them continue with that. For example, we know why people might push other people away in relationships, especially if we know their history and how they've been hurt, but that doesn't make it okay. So you need to not use this as license to condone what's happening, but you need to use it not to, I guess, kind of diminish your anger or your resentment towards them, because if you can see why someone's choosing that, you might still be aggrieved about it, but it helps you kind of reach a bit more peace about it and come to terms with it a little more. It's complicated, that one. Not the message, but the example I just used of where we're talking about someone in a relationship sense or a family sense. So going to Sunday, I'm feeling like I'm not explaining things super well today, so hopefully these are resonating with you. The problem is I often over explain, and I think that can confuse things even more, so I shall stop doing that. Sunday, clear your space. So this is Archangel Jophiel, who's associated with beauty, and it's not beauty in terms of perfection, it's about beauty in terms of beautifying. So you could ask Archangel Jophiel to help you with this, and I've given this example before, but I often call on Jophiel to help beautify my thoughts when I'm really struggling with being quite negative. It's not a instant wave your magic wand kind of thing, but it can help. It changes the energy. So this is talking about your literal space, not your head space or your energetic space. It's talking about your physical space, your home, perhaps your workspace as well. Doing a good old declutter, it really does change the energy, and you will have felt that yourself when you've done it. So getting your Marie Kondo on and getting rid of the things that are weighing you down. Now, obviously, you need to do this responsibly. It's not about chucking out or foisting all your crap on the poor charity shop, which is overburdened. Find ways to get rid of this responsibly, and don't go out to the nearest store and replace it all with brand new stuff, because that defeats the purpose. It's about clearing things that are weighing you down. So if you look at things like old bills that you don't really need to keep because perhaps they're stored electronically, it might be just the general clutter. It can really weigh you down, looking at stress you out, looking at clutter. So doing a good clear out can be really great for your well-being. So I don't really know how to summarize this because it's all over the shop, but that's okay. Perhaps we've got a theme of empathy here and extending compassion to others. I feel this passion card is quite strong as well, needing to face up to the reality of a situation, and I guess connected maybe loosely to this one here, cut your cords around making peace with where we need to do some healing. So that's it for the week. Thanks for staying with me for this. I'll be back next week, as I am every week, except for when I'm on holiday, of course, when things get a little bit challenging with Wi-Fi. But I'm here for quite a while. So You can reach me via my website, and that's www.onegroundedangel.com. There is a bookings form there. If you don't want to book, that's okay. Just go into the bookings form and elect to find out more information. So that's it for this week, and that's how you can find me. If you want to book in as well, you can do that via that website. My Instagram is @OneGroundedAngel, and my Facebook page is also called One Grounded Angel. Thank you so much. I love your feedback, so thank you for sharing that. Take care.